Alright, should be another draft physics video presentation. Appears to be recording. Can't trust it lately. I'm having a little trouble. Well, anyway, comments and other stuff. We'll see how far we go. Might have to do a couple of videos to get through all these different little subjects, but whatever. So the guy here says, does anyone know Gary's education? Is he a physicist? The argument nowadays doesn't really mean anything, right? Because anybody can acquire so much knowledge without ever going to a college or anything like that. Especially in the subjects like physics, which is kind of nice that a lot of universities have put all this content online because they know, man, it's kind of a small subject in the sense that few people, I guess, are passionate about enough to go into all the detail, right? They just take physics as part of a course to take computer science or something, and so they can afford to be generous, frankly. You know, certainly to a person's advantage, so they can acquire quite a bit of knowledge, right? I mean, I've seen the lectures from Yale and IT and Stanford and then a few other community colleges. So, you know, so I don't know if a degree really makes much difference, frankly. It certainly states that you've passed the test in terms of, you know, these mathematical concepts, you know this. It's mostly a math test anyway. Let's be serious, it's not really a concept test, it's a math test. So yes, I don't have a degree in math at all. Don't even much care for it. I don't really think it's physics, frankly. But regardless, all there is the arguments for friggin' sake. Okay, so that's all there are. Their degrees are irrelevant. It's philosophy, it doesn't matter what the subject is. All there are arguments. You can make arguments about just about anything. You know, littering is bad. You know, you can make a good argument about why littering is bad, or you can make a lousy argument. Lots of people think they understand the economy, for example. They don't know what they're talking about. So I just wouldn't be hanging on that. I'd be hanging on the points being raised, and they're, you know, I've made them simple enough that an idiot can understand, right? I mean, the facts are, you know, that you have a single slit. They say two waves pop out of it. You know, it's not a complex question to say, well, how do two waves come out of it? And why, when I have two slits, you know, when I have two single slits, how come only one wave pops out of each slit? See, I mean, that's a simple point that can be raised. It's not that complicated. So what does a degree have to do with this? They're making assertions. I'm saying their evidence absolutely sucks. I mean, I'll point out something like Eddington saying in his own journal, I wouldn't stake my life on these results. And yet that's an experiment they've never repeated with commensurate technology. I mean, do I have to make the argument any fuller than that to point out how, gee, their evidence does seem kind of weak and feeble and lame, doesn't it? The guy who did the experiment knows his results sucked. He says right in his journal, I mean, I was expecting 10,000 stars. I only got 1,000. 10% of the quality. So 10% quality experiment, never repeated, and Einstein gets a headline saying, Einstein right. And I point out how, is that the way science should work? I don't think anybody who's honest would say that's the way science should work. So it's only a bunch of dishonest people who defend it. Is that another, do I need a degree to point out the obvious? That only somebody pretty lame, like kind of a fanatic or a nut, would sit there and defend bad science like that? Really bad science? Unrepeated experiment that was absolutely crappy? And they say, yes, those are very good results. So, I mean, come on. Irrelevant what my degree is. I've made arguments that have remained unanswered. I've made statements, questions, unanswered. No response from the defenders that comes close to being a rational response. Okay. So here's the Espaccio guy again. So in the previous video I did a whole explanation to you about different things, but I'm here to defend my theory now, and to attack theirs, and vice versa. So if somebody can defend their theory, please do so. If somebody can attack my theory, please do so in some sort of rational terminology. Explain how it can't be possible. I would appreciate hearing how it can't be possible if it can't be possible. But I'm not getting that. But that's what I'm here for. Now, you're saying you want to be part of the conversation because you have some wacky, stupid electric universe, wacky, stupid, nonsensical theory. And that's what it is as far as I can tell. So you have to somehow impress upon me that you have some view of the evidence, all right, that gives you some insight into something. Like, for example, that you have actually taken a ferrocell or taken the ferrofluid and looked at it under a microscope, and that you've done this work, you know, this rudimentary work to find out or discover something. That would be fine, but you don't have any videos like that. You're not showing me any evidence of anything. And the thing that's really going to be interesting, so the real point would be is if one of you nutters, you tinfoil hat opposers of the conventional theory, if you want to be part of my conversation or be meaningful or relevant to me, what you have to do is show up with some sort of argument. Hold on a second. Yeah, you'll do that. Alright, should be back. Alright, so anyway, yeah, provide me a theory of how a magnet works. Some kind of simple little explanation. Call it a filter, call it something. Explain how the energy goes in, the energy comes out, why the two ends are different or something. And I'll judge you based on that. But this wacky crap of looking at DNA molecules and seeing, you know, Mother Teresa in them, I have no interest, fella. If you think that's how the universe works, forget it. We don't have anything to talk about. Anyway, all right. So Piro left the lake too. So unannotated in any way, you know, which I find obnoxious. I think it's just rude to post links on videos when you don't even explain what the link is to. Are you making a joke? Are you doing this? What are you doing with this stupid link? So it's just so rude. But that's Piro. He's just stupid, rude, ignorant turd. All right, so it's to a paper on this whole complex experiment that they claim is Stern Gerlach-ish, when no, it's an electron gun. They're using an electric field to push the electrons, obviously. But it has an element in it that I just found so funny. You know, it has a ton of assumptions about the fact that electrons are dipoles and all this other stuff, and it's all part of the experiment, is these assumptions. But the funniest part was the magnet itself and the conversation about how they think magnets work. So I'll do a little quickie on it. Just it's worth mocking. Oh, come on, you can't be serious. You just make up a theory is what they just did. So there's this idea in charge. You know, if you have it, something's charged and you put a little peak on it, right? And say this has 100,000 volts. The trick is that at this peak it might be 150,000. Okay, and that's the way charge works. This is just the way electrons end up, you know, trying to get away from each other. And so when you put an impediment on, there's a certain process, and that's what electrons on a surface will do, because surfaces are charged. And so they assume, oh, well, magnets work the same way. So it's kind of like a Ken Wheeler thing. A while back, Ken Wheeler was obsessed about buying these stupid triangle magnets, right? Because they have this whole theory that on the point it's super magnet, right? It's a super magnet, right? It's like 1,000,000 times more magnetic if you make this little point. And so the paper is actually talking about how if they can make the magnet, you know, pointy enough, you know, if they can make a pointy enough magnet, you know, then they'll have really high magnetism right there at that little point. And it's all just nonsense. All you can do is save a little bit of material by making a magnet pointy. That is, the magnet's still this. This length dictates the strength of the magnet. So it won't be any stronger than a magnet like this at this point, right? So this would be the same as this in terms of the amount of magnetism. You can't increase the magnetism by pointing it. All you can do is save some material. You don't have to use as much material to get at a little point the same thing. But obviously when you cut this material off, you get very weak magnetism here, 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 here. It gets very weak because you don't have all this extra material, so you can't make these lines and these lines. But it's really just, it kind of points out how it is a filter, but you can sort of understand that there's more filter the longer the distance you go through the material, the more it's filtered. You know, so it's more of a magnet. But again, you can't make the magnet stronger by making it a pyramid shape. It won't make the magnet any stronger. It's still this height that matters. And so, it's like garbage physics for them to have this assumption that they can make magnetism stronger by pointing it. They can't. All they can do is concentrate the place at which the best magnetism will be, but they haven't made it any stronger than a regular square magnet. So anyway, it's just crap like that. You just have to say, oh yeah, sure, these are physicists. They're desperate to try to force a result. And the results were so ambiguous, you couldn't tell from the paper how exactly the experiment was done. So they did get like the pattern turned from like this, some kind of sloppy thing like that shape, to something sort of like this, which is a little bit like a Stern-Gerlach. But you're almost arguing, was that because the magnet's in this position? Because if it is, it's not Stern-Gerlach. Stern-Gerlach, it goes through this way and comes out teardrop this way. It doesn't come out teardrop this way. So we don't even have that as a clarification in the experiment. So anyway, but it's not Stern-Gerlach. So again, just because it has Stern-Gerlach in the title doesn't mean it's the Stern-Gerlach experiment. So the Stern-Gerlach experiment's never been done with electrons. And truth is, this is a different experiment proposing to be creating similar results, but again, you can't tell from the paper because the paper doesn't draw any diagrams of how the damn thing works, how they claim it works anyway. There's no paper, there's no part of the paper that gives you any illustration of what they think the path of the electrons are or anything like that. So anyway, but just more of Piro doing his nonsense. So this guy did, whatever it is, Aero Soap Breeze, did point out some of these facts. But anyway, this is the experiment that gave us the current halfway spin values for fermions. The experiment was extremely badly misrepresented and misconstrued in the physicists assumed going in that the electron was a classical dipole. There's no reason to think it's any kind of dipole, whether it's classical or quantum or anything. There's just no reason to think an electron is a dipole of some kind. There's no good reason. It's a charge. And why would it be a dipole? It's like saying that the proton should be dipoles then. What sense does it make? Magnetic dipoles of some kind. What does that even? Doesn't even make any sense. So anyway, yeah, blah blah blah. Good comment, but unfortunately, this is a shitty link, unannotated. It's just a bullshit thing. So fuck it. Yeah, it's not staying. It's not really what he claims it to be. It's not some example of the Stern-Gerlach done with electrons. It's not what it is. It's not a simpler experiment that could be dissected. It's a much more complex experiment, much more moving parts. So instead of answering my simple questions, why are there 2 waves in the single slit? Why aren't there 4 waves in the double slit? Yeah, why does the math predict the wrong pattern in the double slit? Instead of answering those simple questions, how does a mirror reflect light from the same exact place on its surface every single time the light hits? How does it do that when there's no mirror on the face of the earth that can do that? Why should we assume that LIGO has a special mirror that can do that when the technology doesn't exist? Okay. Let's see. Thanks for reminding us that the facts are the facts. Universally agreed upon principles of science. I use that a lot with idiots. Thanks for using science that makes sense. They all seem to use fucked up terms and words, and I don't know. Thanks for kind of pointing that out. The first time I watched you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Half-baked something or whether. Yeah, no, I'm not stoned. But whatever. Same guy. I don't like, okay, it's 2 different videos. So that's okay. I've been watching your videos. Your facts are straightforward approach rock. Ken Wheeler is someone I watch for science stuff. Well, I don't know why, because he's terrible at it. He always confuses me with certain terms and words and phrases. Well, the real problem is he does fake experiments. He does this fake bottle thing where he pushes it against a wall and it's obvious that the plastic is deforming from hitting the wall. It's hard plastic, so it creates a dimple going the opposite way, and then he says, look, hyperboloid. Yeah. I mean, really lame experiments. Alright, enough of him, though. What never fails to amaze me is we know so much about the 5%, so I don't like this whole thing like we don't know facts. We have a ton of evidence to draw all kinds of conclusions. And the point is that physics doesn't want to look at the evidence in any kind of honest way. They have a belief system, they have a religion now of entanglement and all kinds of wooey crap, and they just love more woo the better. The more crap you can make up about how the universe is magical and friendly and hoppy and jumpy, the more they like it. They're just religious fanatics, frankly. All right, so this is a good comment in a way, but it puts it in caps, which is sort of irritating. CMB produces gravity. Well, I like the idea of saying that yes, there's external radiation, but the CMB isn't enough. Okay, just saying cosmic microwave background. No, the point is there's a lot more than microwaves out there. We can't detect them. And they're in short little rays, and we can't detect those either. Just like the photon argument. Our eyes can't see all the photons in the room. Some of them we miss because they're too short a ray. But if there was a frog in the room, he'd say, gee, look at all that light coming from over there. Because he could see them. So this is about what we can see. And our technology is just as blind. We can't see everything. Every piece of radiation, because it has to be in a hunk big enough for our detectors to say, that's a hunk. So there's huge limitations to our vision. So we can't see gravity because gravity's a bunch of little hunks. Okay, so we don't see it. But it is coming from the outside, so at least you got that part right. But you can't just say cosmic background because it's not enough. It's not enough energy to move frickin' planets. Alright, null point, stupid fucking name, irritating as hell, 17 comments on one video. I really hate that shit, and I hate this whole loosey-goosey comment style bullshit. It's just totally useless. You are right, Gary. Who cares whether you think I'm right or not? What's your qualification? Null. That's like no point, right? You've just called yourself no point. Thanks. I really appreciate no points in opinion. Why don't you just say no opinion's opinion? Okay. Gravity is a very questionable concept. It's almost like your brain just wants to explode. I mean, what kind of tinfoil hat loony says something that's stupid? Gravity's a fake? I mean, duh. We call this gravity. Now, what causes it is, under debate. But the fact that it's happening is duh. So you can't say it's a questionable concept. The concept is clear. Okay, it exists. So there's nothing vague about the concept. Okay, especially when you look at the incoherent magnetic null point. So I'm done with this comment. I'm not even going to read anymore. It's just so fucking stupid. Okay, yeah, fuck you. Prove there's any of that crap. Show me one experiment that demonstrates that crap. Ugh, shit. More. Bent light question mark. DS. Is it possible that they confuse electromagnetism radiation? It's electromagnetic, maybe you could say radiation and light. Light is electromagnetic radiation by their definition. I'm saying there's no fucking such thing as electro. Electro is bullshit. Electro happens between atoms. Atoms are electro. And then there's a thing called charge. And then there's a thing called magnetism. But they're not the same thing in the sense that there's something to distinguish them. So there's no... Photons aren't electromagnetic. They're electron specific in the fact that they interact with electrons. But it's silly to call them electromagnetism because there is no electric field. There's just a magnetic field. A charge field. Anyway, science and physics should know they are two completely different things. They can bend electromagnetic radiation. So what again is this? They can't bend radiation. That's the whole argument. You can't bend anything moving the speed of light. It doesn't bend. You have to bang it into something, and that's the clear evidence shows. But they can't bend light, question mark. Yeah, they can't bend any radiation. Anything, gravity, magnetism, all that. You can't bend any of this stuff. It's a fallacy. It's just nonsense. It's unproven crap. Light repeat itself on various medium. I don't know what any of that. Again, just no point. Garbage. Alright. tries again. Math, go see math logger video. 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals, 1/12. No, it doesn't. It's stupid. Minus 1/12 or something. Fuck you. It's stupid nonsense. Go somewhere else with that woolly crap. Fuck. Alright, silver atom. Would be nice to see them do it with titanium atom. Why would that make any difference? The point is they're ions. They're not atoms, they're ions. And ions are disproportional magnets, essentially. They're magnets with too much electron, too much proton, too much north, too little south kind of thing. Anyway, they would likely call me fake news. Yeah, I would call you useless shit, but whatever. It's a matter of semantics. Fuck. Alright. So you're basically saying that the results of the double slit experiment, their terminology and Palant's, not mine. Well, it's fine with me. I don't care what you call it. I think it should be called the four-surface experiment, because that's what it is. This is the two-surface experiment, and this is the four-surface experiment. Alright, anyway. Is all hogwash. I'm saying yes, their interpretation of the simplest pattern in the universe, on-off, that it's caused by something like a wave interference, is complete nonsense. The photons aren't waves and they can't interfere with each other. Forces cannot interact with forces. They have to interact with a piece of matter. They have to bang into something. They can't bang into each other. And if they do bang into each other, it's an inert nothing event. As I pointed out so many times, I just throw it in there one more time, right? Okay, in the real universe, if all things were doing was just banging into each other and there were strict rules of kinetics, the fact is that the outcome for missing each other, which would be an arrow going this way and an arrow going that way, would look exactly like reflection. You wouldn't be able to tell the universe apart. There'd be a thing going this way and a thing going this way. Same universe. So nothing could change. We couldn't see the change. So if a force hits a force, it can't see it. It can't do anything. It can't make it a difference in the universe. The universe looks exactly the same if they hit each other and bounce off each other, if they go through each other, if they miss each other. It all looks the same. One thing's going this way and one thing's going that way. And the only way it can make a difference is, like I said, if you change something about the forces. But the fact is they don't interact with each other. All right. Where were we? Okay. It's all explained simply by light refraction. Yeah, it's explained by the fact that we know when a photon hits an electron, it goes in a new direction. It's called scatter, if you want to use that word, or refraction, or deflection. Reflection, you can use lots of words for it, but when a photon hits matter, its energy ends up going in a new direction. All right. Refraction. That is what happens when light photons hit electrons of all the relevant surrounding surfaces, producing an angle or vector before hitting the back wall. Well, the point is they're not hitting surfaces, they're hitting atoms, and atoms are mostly empty space, so they're hitting electrons. They're hitting electrons, and it's the electrons that are deflecting the light. It works as an explanation. It's simple and it's complete and it answers the question and it doesn't have any woo in it. Okay, thus no wave function, no quantum field, no observer dynamics, no probability matrix. Well, I don't know about that. There's certainly a probability matrix in the sense that the electrons are only capable of moving in certain directions and the photon isn't likely to go to Pluto and then come back here again. No superposition, no nothing. All woo nonsense. All woo-woo nonsense. Just simple classical Newtonian. I don't care to call anything classical Newtonian, frankly, because I don't think Newton really understood. He didn't understand particle physics. And frankly, the particles do behave in a little different way than something just bangs into this and this goes and this stops. Photons never stop. So you can't just bang a photon into something, give the something momentum. the energy actually has to be absorbed by the electron and held like a little bird in a cage. The energy, the bird's flying and you catch it in a cage, and now it hits the cage and bounces around in the cage, and then the thing can move. But it's a little different than classical Newtonian. So I'm not arguing for anything called classical Newtonian. I'm arguing for a theory of kinetics, okay, that doesn't care about these labels. It's not really interested in being labeled. Okay, light refraction happens here. Feynman called the double slit experiment results the basis for all QM. That's the joke here, right? An experiment they can't even concede they don't have the right answer to. They don't have an explanation for why water waves and the single slit and light in the single slit don't match. They can't explain why. And then they can't explain that there's an extra pattern with photons in the double slit. And they have no explanation for the existence of that truth. And so they think their theory is perfect and it fits perfectly and everything's perfect, when no, there's a huge reason to doubt their theory. Well, that's the end of that. Just trying to understand all this. Let me ponder where to go from here. Well, that's the best you can do. I'm just saying the easy ponder here is to say, look, I'm asking simple questions. I'm getting no simple answers. They're not debunking me, right? Every challenger runs away. I offer them money to debate me, and they still won't debate me. That's how lame their arguments are. That's how they're not real interested in being interrogated on why they believe, on the integrity of their beliefs, their assertions. They claim this crap to be the truth, and yet they won't allow you to interrogate the evidence, and the evidence sucks, is the simple argument. Their evidence is far weaker than they're letting on. They're pretending they have a ton of evidence confirming, and they don't. And it's a simple fact. Okay, hey Gary, if you get corona, okay, this is irrelevant. Thank you very much. Fuck you. No, I don't. If I get corona, like everybody else, I'll feel crappy, I guess, for a few days, and then I'll live, because I have pretty good lungs. Electromagnetism or electromagnetic radiation is not part of light. So whatever that means, yeah, I agree. Light isn't a wave in anything. There's no medium. Light isn't waving in it. Light is made of quanta, little particles, shot just like a gun shoots bullets. And when they're shot a little bit out of alignment. And that's all there is. All right. Radiation is not part of light. And light is not part of electromagnetism or whatever this is. Light uses these to repeat itself. So whatever this is. Sorry. Copy itself, medium. So again, this is all unproven, unstated. If you don't have any evidence for this crap, you're just assertion. You're just making bold assertions, and you're providing no evidence and nothing. You don't produce any content. You don't prove any of this crap. You're just asserting God is God. Well, I'm totally uninterested in your God theory. Crap. All right. Tie, I don't know what that means, for bringing question, for bringing question. No point again. Oh, science and physics love to brush them away as irrelevant, but they will have to answer them eventually. Well, apparently not. Why I believe light is moving, question mark. There's not enough energy anywhere to make light do all it does. Well, it doesn't do that much, frankly. It's a pretty lame little piece of, stuff. You need trillions of them to have an impact on anything, so more crap. Fuck you. It's perfectly consistent as a force with all the other forces. It can be quantized. It can be understood as a certain amount of momentum traveling from one place to another, and the fact is it travels in a straight line until it hits an electron. Feynman said this. Feynman said, look, it's not a wave, okay? He said photons go from point A to point B in a straight line, unless something makes them not go in a straight line, and that's it. It's not that complicated. They're not waving anywhere. So you are basically saying that the results, we did that already. Maybe you're right. Well, maybe I am. I'm pretty certain I am. Pretty confident. Gravity. So there's no point chat again. It's, a loophole, gray zone, firewall. Well, let's just fuck this. Alright. LIGO claim. It's likely same issue Sky Scholar showed for dark hole shot. Oh, this is great. So that's a great reference. You couldn't quote anything. It's a secret. They do not know they're wrong yet. I think they know this basic physics. I mean, I think when they sat there and said, look, the only way we can make it possible for us to ever see these things is we're going to have to make this gravity wave thing a lot more energetic. We're going to have to make it insanely energetic because it has to travel so far through space. If it was a light, it has to be a really bright light to get all the way here and we can detect it in our little detector. So we have to make this thing like it's burning, like it's on fire. We have to make a whole bunch of energy somehow, like it's a supernova or something going on. Because there's no way it's going to get here. No way we could possibly see it. It'd be too weak. So let's convert matter into bent space. But see, we can't turn it into radiation because everybody knows what radiation is. It's either a frequency or, it's a limited thing, and they know the radiation isn't there, and that's not what we're detecting, radiation. So we have to convert it into bent space. So they just came up with this bullshit theory that somehow you can convert matter into bent space. Einstein didn't say you could do that. Nobody it's never been scrutinized as a theory. I've never seen any conversation anywhere on the internet regarding this theory that you can convert matter into bent space. Where was that ever debated? So I'm just saying it's premised on complete loop-de-doo bullshit they made up. It's just like dark matter. They just made it up so they can make it possible. Frankly, the 2x, like I said, gravity bending light twice as much is sort of made up for the purpose of, well, we can't see it unless it bends it twice as much. Isn't that convenient? Anyway, so they know they're wrong in the sense that they know this is shit science. To say something like we've measured 1/10,000th of the width of a proton. They got nothing. They have no way to experimentally demonstrate that claim is true. No way at all. All right. The problem is that real-world RF behavior points out to a wave. No, frankly, it doesn't. That's the whole point. There's absolutely no reason to believe in any kind of wave. There's just rays. Rays. Just like charge. There's no reason to think a charge is waving energy. A charge is radiating it in little rays, just like the sun's rays of light. Type characteristic that is not a particle. So again, that's just a lie. There's just no reason not to be able to convert it into particles moving in rays. Rays works just fine. All right, jamming and whatever this is, multi-segment or array antennas do not produce reconstruction frequencies from the scattered particles. So that's a lie. I'm just saying there's... What'd you base that on? I mean, it's exactly the same geometry. Wave interference is exactly the same phase geometry that makes a radio signal unreceivable. Two out-of-phase signals coming at the same strength to an antenna from radio stations. If I put an antenna between two radio stations, and the two radio stations are... the two signals are out of phase, the radio antenna will not know what to do and will receive neither. It will receive nothing. It'll say you're not producing a viable signal. Fact. You can watch it happen to your own radio while you're driving. Anyway, jamming and multi-segment or array antennas. Okay, anyway. Frequencies from the scattered particles. If that were the case, they're not scattered particles. So again, you're saying they're scattered. They're not scattered. What's scattered? I have a radar dish here, a radar dish here. They're both shooting. There's no scattering. So again, what's your argument? I didn't never said anything about them being scattered. They're going in a nice straight line right to the antenna, and the problem is they're out of phase. And if they're out of phase, neither signal is going to be received. Shit. All right, scattered particles. If that were the case, they would produce considerable wideband noise or unwanted frequencies. Yes, unwanted frequencies at twice the frequency. So obviously, if I'm detecting a 10 gigahertz signal, guess what? It's going to require a pretty good new receiver for me to detect a 20 gigahertz signal. If they're out of phase, it's just basically saying double the frequency, right? So if I take two frequencies, all right, and I put them out of phase, what have I created? Right? I've created this frequency, right? This frequency, this frequency, this frequency. I've created a much higher frequency, twice as high. That's all. And unless the receiver is set to receive that, it's not going to receive that frequency, is it? No, it's not. Shit. I mean, I point out how you can test this so easily, and they haven't done these simple tests. I'm sure they have done them, and they said, gee, that's curious. It doesn't really work, does it? You know, where they just put the antenna in a fixed location and it just put the signal out of phase and figure out how, well, if I move this radar dish and I leave that one right where it is, hey, all of a sudden the signal stops. All right, but in practical terms, the signal behaves. Okay, wait, unwanted frequencies. In that case, they wouldn't probably be useless, but in practical terms, the signal behaves like typical waves. Okay, you keep saying it. No, it doesn't. There's no, I shoot two laser beams into each other. Where's the typical wave behavior? Oh yeah, that's right, it doesn't exist. Again, where's your evidence that you can take any two forces and smash them into each other and have them interact? You're saying photons turn into some special wave function when they come out of the radar dish. There's no impediment, right? In the radar experiment, you have another reason to doubt, because there's no mechanism that's measuring the photons or detecting them in some way and causing entanglement and doing all that crap. They're just two radar dishes, right? So you can make the argument that if I have a slit, okay, I'm creating an obstacle that the photon has to go through, and it turns into two wave functions, you know, wave function, you know, probability function. You know, you can say that somehow this turned into some new thing that's doing this crap, okay? But you can't make that argument the radar experiment, right? The radar experiment is just two dishes, right? There's no entanglement, there's no anything, there's nothing, there's no obstruction they're going through to get turned into a wave function. So there's no wave function coming out of here. This is like a laser beam. This is like just an LED shooting light. And this is an LED shooting light. And you're saying that you can mix these lights. So if I take two LEDs, is it your argument that if I take two LEDs, a blue one and a red one, and I shoot rays out, okay, and they're at the same phase, that they'll magically turn into wave functions and they'll interfere with each other and I'll get the pattern? Alright, let's just say it's the same LED, doesn't matter, it's two red LEDs, that somehow I'll make the light interfere with each other. That's your argument? Well, I'm saying it's a bullshit argument because it won't happen. If you do the experiment with LEDs, you'll see there won't be any interference pattern because there's no mechanism to cause the wave functions. Nobody does the two LED experiment to replace the two slits. They don't replace the two slits with two LEDs and say, there, interference. Because it doesn't happen. Why does it happen in the radar experiment? Is there any good reason to believe radar is any different than photon light, you know, visible light? Absolutely no reason. So there's nothing creating wave functions, so there's no way these two light sources could possibly interfere with each other. So the whole theory sucks for a lot of reasons, and I pointed them out, and here you are just, you know, triply going on saying, no, it's got to be their stupid way. All right, typical waves. In phase produces higher intensity. So there's nothing, this intensity crap is bullshit. Out of phase produces lower intensity cancellation. No such cancellation happens. You either reconstruct a photon or you don't reconstruct it. And as I just pointed out, if I use two light sources, none of that cancellation crap happens. There's no twice as much. And again, the twice as much is caused by the amplification because they put an audio signal on the radar signal. If they don't put the audio signal on, if you're not listening to the radar, all right, you won't get a 2x. There's not going to be 2x amount of microwaves hitting one location and then none, and then 2x and then none. That won't be the fact if you take the audio signal off. if you measure the actual radiation rather than measuring how loud the audio signal is. All right, so let's see what he linked to here. Piece of shit. No doubt. Antenna fundamentals. 12 minutes of crap. Javier. Oh, great. I love this old stuff. So I'll watch that later. But again, this will have no proof about anything I said being untrue. None whatsoever. Well, we're not going to play this whole video now, but I'll get to it later. But it's crap. There won't be any evidence in there of two radar signals from opposite ends, and you move one of them, and it doesn't create exactly the same interference pattern. And the two signals never interfered with each other, coming from different sides. Never interfered with each other. Fact, I move one of the sources, I'll put the two signals out of phase, and there won't be any signal received. Fact. Alright. Now I'm deleting it because it's crap as a comment. Anyway, alright, so there was a reference to us on this video, which isn't about, it's not the draft physics video, but these lame asses are just what they are, lame asses. Here, a link, again, just a blind link by the Jerry Steinfeld, somebody, a fake person who takes other people's identities and steals them and pretends they're somebody when they're nobody. But the irony is, so this is a superhuman dance pile of crap, and I haven't listened to it, but it did have the time codes here, so I said, well, what the hell, if it comes with time codes, I'll play along. But the funny thing is the chat has a fake DraftScience account.
Hi, I'm Rex Moore with the Motley Fool in
is
front
really
of BMW's
irritating.
self-driving exhibit at CES in Las Vegas. Now, have you ever wondered how to invest in this revolutionary technology?
So this is where I
well, I'm going to give you the top 5 things that...
You claim that my theory...
Okay, so they have somebody here drafts. This obviously isn't me. So they're talking to some true straw man, right? A fake account. And these idiots, these morons think I would actually have a conversation with this asshole. I mean, hilarious. All right, so he has claimed that somehow my theory is unfalsifiable. That's been his direct assertion. And so apparently he's going to say something about, no, I accused you of the fallacy of unfalsifiability, whatever that could mean. So let's play some of this, because it's got to be hilarious. So again, this is a guy who says nothing. So he asserts nothing regarding physics. He doesn't claim that light is twice as bent by gravity. He doesn't state that there is such a thing as entanglement. He doesn't assert that LIGO did listen to a gravity wave. He doesn't assert that the radar experiment is actual wave interference. He doesn't assert anything. He doesn't prove or demonstrate with any evidence any fact at all. And he just says, I'm wrong. And somehow he proved it with some sort of logic when he made no evidence relevant to a single fact in dispute. Not one single reference to a piece of evidence or a fact where he's demonstrated that what I said isn't the truth or can't be the truth. He's debunked and disproven absolutely nothing.
Is unfalsifiable. No, idiot. I said it's the fallacy of unfalsifiability.
So that's what he claims he said, right? I mean, I played his video, didn't I, right? I mean, he claimed that my theory was unfalsifiable, that somehow I'm making claims that can't be proven one way or the other because I'm asserting magical forces, when that's not the truth. I can be falsified if you can prove light really is bent by gravity, that a force actually makes another force bend. Go ahead and prove that. And clearly the dispute over whether it's jamming or whether it's wave interference, I think I just won the argument by pointing out, well, if I just change these two things to LEDs, your theory falls apart because they won't interfere and it won't create any interference pattern.
Those are different things.
I don't know. The fallacy of unfalsifiability and unfalsifiable. I'm supposed to understand those are two different things when I don't even believe in the premise itself. It's totally irrelevant whether a theory is unfalsifiable. The only thing it's relevant is, as a model, does it work? Does it actually explain how the thing functions? And then the test is the Occam's razor test. The test is, does it do so simply and completely? Or does it do so by just asserting the invisible man did it? It's really easy to walk into court and just assert the invisible man has framed my client. Now, it's a silly, unfalsifiable claim because there's no evidence that an invisible man exists. So it's just a story, and it's pretty useless as a story.
It's untestable.
So again, we've been over this, okay? It's completely testable. I've done videos on the tests. I've pointed out that your tests are the ones that are completely fallacious and nonsensical. I've pointed out how can your interferometer work even? How can you detect 1/10,000th of a proton's width with an instrument that can't even do that when the energy, the ruler can't even measure that distance when the light's hitting the mirror? That keeps changing the length of the ruler. How can you measure 1/10,000th of something when you're making the ruler a centimeter longer and a centimeter shorter? It's not possible.
Untestability.
So whatever. So now you're changing the word. Oh, I didn't say your theory is unfalsifiable. I said it was untestable. Well, same difference, and that's fine with me. I'm asserting directly to you that's a lie. It's completely testable. There are experiments that we can glean results from, and I've just pointed out one that makes your theory, the one you're defending, wrong. Because all I do is change these two radar dishes into two LEDs, and all of a sudden your theory falls apart.
Not unfalsifiable, just by itself.
That's what you said, liar. I mean, he's just a compulsive liar. I mean, I played the fucking video, right? I mean, it's clear that was his claim, that somehow my theory is the one with a bunch of invisible men in it, when I'm pointing out how theirs is the one with the invisible men. Bent space, no energy involved, no mechanism, no mechanism whatsoever. I have a mechanism for gravity. Okay, magnetism, no mechanism. Virtual photon, they call it a virtual photon. What do you think that is besides saying ghost photon? What the hell's a virtual photon? Oh, it's just like a photon, except it doesn't really exist. We can't detect it, we can't find it, we don't, it's visible. Right? And it does this magical thing that 1 minute it tells something, go away from me, and the next minute it says, come towards me. So it's a bullet that I shoot at you, and the bullet either makes you come right towards me or the bullet makes you fall backwards. That's how bullshit their theory is. Their theory is the unfalsifiable one. Dark matter, dark energy, again, completely unfalsifiable. The invisible matter that only does one thing, but you can't detect it because it doesn't reflect light, and it doesn't reflect this, and it can't do this, and it can't do anything regular matter does except do one thing, make gravity. Theirs is the one full of unfalsifiable theory. And I'm not saying the theory is wrong because it's unfalsifiable. I'm saying it's wrong because it doesn't even really work.
I always say that it's unfalsifiability. You moron.
Okay, so you say untestifiable, and then you say unfalsifiable, and I'm the moron. So this convoluted piece of crap you just said, it's the fallacy of, and then you did this other thing. You're saying you're going to call somebody else a moron when you can't even say exactly what you're trying to say. You can't just say it explicitly. You have to use, it's the fallacy of unfalsifiability. It's unfalsifiability. It's untestable. You can't pick one of those phrases and stick with it?
Talking about. He says, you claim that my theory is unfalsifiable. No, idiot. I said it's the fallacy of unfalsifiability. Those are different things.
Sorry, what? What? How?
It's untestable.
Yeah, okay, I can, again, I accept your accusation, I reject its truth value. It has no truth value. You've not demonstrated how they're invisible particles. I'm talking about magical things. It's a mechanical theory explaining why something's happening, just like I can have a theory of why wind blows. You won't be able to see why the wind's blowing, but you can understand why the wind's blowing.
Untestability. Not unfalsifiable, just by itself.
That's what you said. You said unfalsifiable by itself. That's what you said, fuckhead.
I always say that it's unfalsifiability.
So again, the difference is, so the ability part makes the difference. So it's unfalsifiable, and that's okay. But if it's unfalsifiability, well then, now we've made a huge difference. You really are out of your fucking mind. You're just so crazed with hate that this is what you have to resort to? This incoherent babble?
You moron.
Yeah, let's understand. He's arguing with not me.
God. And then I say it's unfalsifiable along with it being, the other things, with those other things, right? But if you're going to focus on one critique of it, it's that it's unfalsifiability.
All right, why don't you just make an assertion, okay? You tell me. You believe. Do you believe gravity bends photons twice as much as all other matter? Do you believe? Do you believe there's a time dimension? Do you believe that photons have some sort of wave function? They turn into some probability wave. Make an assertion and I'll prove it. I'll demonstrate that you have no evidence for the assertion, that there is no corroborating evidence that demonstrates that theory better than any other Bugs Bunny did it theory. I can make Bugs Bunny do okay, what your virtual photons are doing. I could just have the Bugs Bunny flies to the electron and rubs its belly, and then the electron will come towards you. Or Bugs Bunny flies to the electron and, punches it in the belly. Your theory is shit. It's made of shit.
The definition of it, right?
Well, no, boring, slow, tedious.
So disgusting. Your incompetence is disgusting. I have proposed a laser bending experiment that physicists have never done.
All right, so that's not a fact. Me and Piro talked about the laser experiment. It wouldn't be a bending experiment. It would be the fact that the laser's moving, okay, the target's moving in space. Those are real facts, and by the time the light goes from one moving target, the emitter, to the moving receiver, that you might be able to detect the movements. But there's all kinds of complications because we first don't even have a laser that necessarily straight lines come out of. They are straight lines going a little bit diverging, and that's a problem because you need something that actually travels the straight line.
Well,
the straight line from point A to point B, not to point C or straight line to point D, but to actual point B.
Where's the test then? Make a video saying this is the test.
I have. I made a video called Experiments. Debunk it. I made a video called Questions. Debunk it. Answer the questions.
What are you talking about? No, it's not an ad-hom. You didn't even get the critique right. You said it's unfalsifiable. It's unfalsifiability. Those are different things. Look, we'll bring them up on the screen for you, so just nobody can be a dumbass.
Okay, so unfalsifiable and unfalsifiability are different things. And so my theory is unfalsifiability. That's the proper use of the word. That's speaking good English.
Unfalsifiability. Untestable. Unfalsifiability. This is what I mean every time that I say that what you're doing is what you're doing. It's right on the screen. It's the definition here that's going to be highlighted, all right?
As I understand, again, he's talking to somebody with a fake account. Really easy to see that's a fake account.
Untestability. Unfalsifiability. It's a hypothesis that is true or false, even though the theory or hypothesis cannot possibly be contradicted by by an observation or the outcome of any physical experiment, usually without strong evidence or good reason. So let's look.
Well, I'm just saying that they all are falsifiable, but sometimes the evidence is going to be hard to find, right, or get. So there's always some little catch, right? If they say dark matter does certain things, okay, it just creates gravity, but it doesn't reflect light, it doesn't do this, doesn't do that. Well, there still might be some mechanism, some way to test Okay, whether, the invisible man left footprints. There's some catch that can exist. So the fact that something is hard to falsify, when are you going to draw this line that it's completely unfalsifiable? That's kind of a nonsense statement, because they are making an assertion about it doing something. And if it's doing something, then you can demonstrate in some way, like it requires energy to make gravity. Like if you understood that gravity was some conservative force, that if something was actually creating a difference, it would actually have to be absorbing some kind of energy to be changing the energy field. If it's going to make some, like, less light comes out, it's going to cast a shadow. If gravity turns out to be a shadow, then clearly dark matter would be falsifiable, because you'd have to explain where the energy went.
At your website, okay? Do you not abide by your website still? Because is your website not?
No experiments are detailed on my website, so the experiments aren't talked about on the website. What's talked about on the website is a theory explaining what the things do, and all of the things talked about are simple things like magnets. So I don't have to show you a magnet experiment, because everybody can agree on what magnets do.
Not you as well? Is it not what you say? Is it an ad hom of you? What is it, .org or something?
No. DraftPhysics.com. Kind of easy.
It's not popping up. It says the site cannot be reached. Did I disconnect or something? No, I'm here. DraftPhysics.com.
Whatever, this is just too big a waste of time. Alright, so anyway. Yeah. Yeah, this is the best they can do. The critics. This is their, oh yeah, we really debunked you, good. Yeah. I'm feeling the pain. The only pain I'm feeling is this really is the human race. It's this fucking petty and stupid. Just runs on little petty emotions, little inverted penis envy bullshit. Jesus. Till the next time and such, so forth and whatnot.